But then I sit here and I was like, God was saying, well, did you ask me if you could do that? No. Did you ever come to me and ask, hey, Lord, what do you want from my life? Oh, you went ahead and did it anyway, and it didn't work out in your heart, and now you're blaming him. And he's already told me that, and I had to say. And I'm like, I didn't ask you. I didn't confide in you. I didn't care what at that time. I didn't care what he wants. I want to see what I want to do, because that was that's so God. That's how you have to sow its spirit. Yeah. And so I was blaming him for things that I never even confided him in. I didn't allow him to lead me in. Because I got mad at him. So then I had to cry out. I had to repent. And then I was like, Lord, what do you want from me? Even though, it may not match what I think I want, but you think you know what we want as you just really, see, sometimes when I go so casual, because I'm like, I could I want chicken nuggets and pies. But then I go and like, I often knew this. I think I know what I want, but when I get there, it takes me 5 minutes. It's the same thing. We think we know what we think we have it all planned out. That's what they teach you in school. Oh, raise your hand, what you want to be when you grow up. Raise your hand what college you're going to. We say Harvard, Kurdistan. You say, raise your hand, you're going to college. Raise your hand, you're going to be a doctor and lawyer. But it's just like, God, it's always good to have goals. So, I'm not saying don't have goals. I'm not saying don't have any, I'm not saying that. But see, the world and schools, everything has taught us like, it's about what we want. What do you want to do? What college do you want to go to? Where does it's like, no, whatever the Lord leads, we can always have a plan and go, whatever the Lord leads me. You may think you're coming to school, okay, for nursing, but he may lead you different paths to be a journal. You don't know. Amen. I wanted to be a nurse for years, but that's not what God had called me to do. And the reason I wanted to be a nurse is they made more money, and people in my family wanted me to be a nurse, and my mom was wanting to be a nurse. She never did, so I thought I could fill the shoes, but I said, I didn't call you to be that. I call you to be whatever I called you to be. Yeah. And I think that's important. The community. Okay. Also, truly having a conversation without asking, what do you want from me? It's like if you sit down at your husband and wife and you guys have a marriage issue. Hey, what do you want from me? What can I hear? Same thing. If you can talk to our friends and family, why can't we talk about what do you want from me? I'm struggling. Okay, you say you want this from me. Okay, help me to walk it out, because the thing you want, I don't necessarily want sometimes, but I know that it's always good for me and you never fail me, and it's better than what I have, way better. So my Lord, help me walk into the obedience, even if I don't understand it. Obedience just to walk it out. And that's just a day-to-day process, the community, just walking it out, talking to him, being real. God knows what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're doing. So you're only for yourself, and other people just can't fool God. Lord, help over. Lord, I've been angry. I've been upset. Lord, I don't understand. Lord, this is how I feel. Right out. Just something that I'm trying.
So I recommend with this kind of like playing down on some applications in the chat, right? Like what you just said right now, the community, you guys to talk about that a lot. You listen to the TSC a lot, and be sure that people who actually like sincerely wanted to move on, but you must seize the tide, running against the tide that you never to face in the guy with they were a victim or like the happy, I think that's an amazing point. And that's probably one of the most important things. Usually, even when God wants to show mercy at someone, the first thing he does to cool them off from time is that crossing time with the spread of salty fish. And then the second part uses being my business working out, but find out who, especially the one you can be near as students. Now, there's a part I wanted us to kind of like almost speak about, and if we can just talk more about Ismail, right? Because I feel as young people in this generation, right, I was reading the book of Timothy, and there's one thing that Paul was so adamant of when we were getting said that in the book of Timothy, I did First Timothy call verse 16. We think that you are teaching to the words and children what your doctrine in and watch the ladders. And then the main thing, stop thinking about your university. You have so many doctrines when you're in. I should say maybe someone can do the scripture and their interpretation on being that the social media space is clear, 99% of the young people are taking it up. Now, I want us to talk about something back and just talk about how important is this to know scriptures, bro. Someone things. How important is it for us? Not only that we're trying to God, but you're also going to know scriptures so we know how to try it again. and we know how to walk around the problems at this time. Because this ones, I just wanted to on the right. Where in your journey did the word of God really help the army?
So that's really important, and and I should have made, but we're talking about other that stuff, but the word number one should have said just the word number one is important. Um, God is using the word above them. So listen, the word is important. God's been helping me to study to show myself approved. It says study to show yourself approved. Yeah. And I think that's what is a struggle. I know you said the whole that's true. You go on YouTube, anybody can do AI and mimic and cherry pick and because that's just the world you live in. And what I've noticed, and I talk to other believers of my age who struggle with this, is that we had this zeal, the fire, but when it comes down to reading some the scripture and stuff, we get tired, we get lazy, and we know that's trickle from it. Because now, why is it the trick enemy for God's people not to read the word, to get tired, right? When we can scroll for 5 hours, but then we get tired when we read 5 minutes of word. It's because it is the living word. It's our shield. That's gonna get us through these last days. It's gonna get us through these last days. It's gonna get us through it. It is our sword. It's like the shield of faith, right? Shoes of the shoes of the gospel. Yeah, sword of the spirit. I read this my than not. It's important. It's gonna live through the last day, and so that's why it's being, like I said, cherry picked. That's why it's being charm. But it's the Bible. It's never going anywhere. This whole world will perish, and the word will end again. But it's so important to let it show you from the code and keep doing. And like I said, I'm still studying, and even if it's a wrestle, I'm like, all right, I cast that down. I'm going to get into this word because God's having me, get more in your word. I getting tired. Get up early. Get in your word. Because let's just be honest, the people who are devil worship, they getting up at 1, 2 a.m. They reading their Bible, whatever they're reading. But we get tired. We get lackadaisical. We get slumber. And it's like, it is important to read that word, especially shield of faith, like able literally bring you to his icons. And like I said, the gospel of truth, you just have to do the work.
And you just said something right now. I don't know if you had, or maybe little trade the answer of using need to do and since he's searching. You basically just said one of the most important things God outside of justice we use. We do up the picture from the sisters just about the power of the salvation. See one case if the suit glasses better if I understand there. I wonder if I go you're looking at then I realize you had the evil in there. What about the sheet of faith? It's about the breastplate of righteousness. We really not to, but the one offensive came with happy to warn of Christ, right? So we see the word of the spirit, right? Yeah. And that's the only flexible one. And it will, I don't think it comes to alarm at anyone or like to say news to anyone that this grounds demolition, you are very, there's a lot of the trust there. There's a lot of attack. There's a lot of, there's a lot of attack on the mind. There's a lot of warfare on our mind. And you can see that in what is going on, people, I think I'm reading the news today. And rest in peace to him. And I'm sending condolences who was coming. There's a rapper that just composers and I don't know, Jesus, anything mean. Committed suicide today. And they just made me 25-year-old, they young guy. They committed suicide and shot himself in the end. And I would just, it made me just, I had a lot of blues in front of me because I really came down to nothing but the battle he had within his mind. And the Bible speaks in the book of 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, where it's like casting down all stronghold that exalt itself above the name of God. But you cannot cast down something you don't have a weapon to happen, which is the word of throwing. And the young believers in today's day and age will do everything that the enemy. He did everything but being his critic. You look at God's scriptures. David knew scriptures because he was prophesying concerning things that were written. Moses himself, he's the one who was put the forth. He knew up against people. These people were, they knew Jesus himself, his description. He knew scripture. Every good look across the Bible, people who were released by God and were in the foundation of all of the fight, news to God. And I think that's one big thing I also really want to point out some whole thing you just mentioned, this. Whatever you do, pray, fast, you go to the community during environment, but no work that's what the aim is, being your weapon. That is your weapon of reference. But God did not put anything close. And I just want to make everything up how much all this.
And thank you so much, for sharing, it's really amazing. You know, I think she's actually ministering right now. Yeah, basically, because I'm being blessed, and I know that if you're watching or listening, you've been blessed. Now, um, I don't want to, because I've seen this both the black community and white community. Yeah, growing up, they didn't feel loved by their parent, or they got let down by their parent. That kind of influenced their lifestyle, and it doesn't influence them to Jesus. It influences them outside of Jesus to the world. Exposing them to the devil. And I don't want to make this like a flap or because it's actually in all races or ethnicity and all of that. It's just that, sometimes the news kind of like spotlight more. Yeah, like, yeah. But then, like, from what I've seen, like my personal observation, I've seen it in like different communities. You understand my three. Yeah. So now you go meet this kind of people who they never receive the love that they should receive. They never receive the proper training, the proper care, that they should receive. I mean, you're coming up and telling them about Jesus, the Lord loves you. They're like, what? Like, even my mom couldn't love me, or my dad couldn't love me. Yeah. So, from your own, personal journey, how do you kind of share with them? How do you tell them that it is true that your mom, because it is written in the Bible that though my mom and my father forsake me, but the Lord will keep me up. That's what yeah. Yeah, so I really struggle with that.
And that's one of my favorites too that I quote. I've been through that. And that's very important. I want to say, and you said, and every community is true, but I also understood this and how it sheds light on black community. And like I said, every community goes through it. But I noticed it's the stigma, and this is hard to represent every black person when it's showing, but it's a stigma in the communities that I've seen, my community, that is like, was very more of like tough love. Now you need tough love because God also showed tough love, but it's more so get tough. You have to be tough. Men don't cry. And this is for everybody. Men don't cry, stand up. Oh, you fell, you busted your ankle. I mean, just walk it off, and it's not care and shake it off. And that's why I have to keep praying, because I have feelings like that. My mom, even though she had moments that she was nurturing, but there was times she was like that a lot of time, though. And so it's hard for me because I've been sensitive, and I've always kind of been the opposite of people in my family. And it's not about better, but people in my family and my mother. And so they grew up like very tougher than I did. And I had to blow out, having to be taught and experience things that I experienced things, but they experienced things I haven't been able to experience because the Lord's been preserving me. So it's very different now. And there was always disconnect between me, my mother and my, I'm like, man, like, you can't relate, but it was because God was also preserving. But I think it's true, like not having that love from your mother, your father, your whoever. You're like, oh, you're not gonna be nothing. You would never be nothing, man. You're just like your daddy, just like your mama, and all this stuff. And it hurts, and it sticks with you, right? So then you grow up, and you act out in anger. That's how we have a lot of people who rebel. When I rebelled, how I did was because I didn't get that love from my mother. When she passed away, I was upset. It was too late. I thought we were gonna have that moment, that coming to Jesus moment together, but it wasn't that close. So I was also part of angry. So I'm angry at God like that. I was like, man, like he could have reconciled. Like, was I like, And so that's how like we there. But I think it's important to parents. Please, I know how much children are. I love kids. I don't have kids. But please love your kids. And I love your kids. Like and this is not. I'm gonna say this again. Love your children. Encourage your children. Not that it was be silly. I mean, correct discipline. But what I'm saying is, but no, stop saying that your kid is stupid. Stop saying that they're no good. that they never do anything right. Because you never do anything right. We're human. We're not going to do anything right. That's why we need the Lord. But it's like, it's a way you can correct. It's a way you can discipline without having to put them down, making you feel like they're less good, right? You're not stupid. Hey, the thing you did was not the smartest thing. It was foolish. But they're not stupid. They're not this. We all make mistakes. It's got to teach them, okay? But just love your kids, man. And then also children. Love and honor your parents. And that's the thing, because even as teenagers, got bad attitudes and stuff. And, you have your attitudes, and there have been times where one of the things I had to, we're doing a pin about is I was like to honor my mom more in those situations. And even with my dad still alive, me and him have a good relationship, but to still honor things more, like I say, still working at progress. But it's just not as important to have that relationship. Like you said, when your mother and father forsake you, God is, he needs that parenting. And so sometimes, hey, if your mother and father forsake you, it's hard. But you have less married in the whole wide world would take both places of mother and daughter than an earthly mother and father can be. He's so perfect. He would never fail you. Okay, he's gonna correct you, gonna discord you just like any other parent, but he loves you and it's for the greater good. And he doesn't have no ill intent. He's not jealous of you. He's not against you. He's not, oh my God, he's so perfect. He's so perfect.
And honestly, I can relate to a lot of these. Maybe not an everything, but at least I'm a part of the like the words we say to your children, and they are very important. And those words you mentioned, like I got hold a lot of those words when I was growing up, and it took me a long time for me to like conceptually like actually because some of those words never let. Those words were pretty much affecting the action than the deed that I currently learned for. Yeah. And I think it's really important to point that out. But also, I just want to also mention too, like to kind of like add on to what he said. That yeah, let's not also pay our own definition of love into what we call TLC. The Bible said in Luke 1 verse 9, it said, "Now let your love be out and fed our knowledge and insight," meaning that the love that you have defined as your own forms is done away when it comes to pass. And the love that you Lord show is a reflection of the knowledge of God. What is why we need to know God. Know God, put his word and in prayer and relationship you see. That when you love now, you're not loving by the own incident on the knowledge, or the knowledge, not you're loving by the knowledge of the Father, or reflection now of the Father, which the kingdom do. Being disciplining your children, but also being patient and also loving that accepting, having been accepting and using the right word.
That's the fruit of the spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's important. Have the fruit of the spirit. I've been praying, Lord, even the fruit of the spirit. I'll tell you, I know all of us get the fruit. They're praying for the fruit of the spirit for those who are watching us. Always have to put the spirit daily. Have the fruit of the spirit.
Man.
Says you can talk in tongues, you will prophesy, can do all this stuff, but you don't have blood. That kind of smell good. It's what I am. It's like if a child had an instrument and they're banging, they don't have no coordination. Yeah. But it's like, oh, I know that how it sounds to them. Like we don't have blood to live. Yeah. So it's not just also knowing how to teach, knowing how to clean, knowing how to pop. No, it's also having love with it. You have to have patience, because when you're spreading the word of God, you're going to have people that's going to reject it. Some people going to be nice, like, hey, I don't want to do it. Like, there's going to be something that get on my face. I got to be yelling at, but and it's okay. And in child ranks anger, and I was talking to someone earlier, but when those tensions flare, okay, Lord, what did you do? It was like when Jesus went to his hometown, they were offended by him. They're like, man, you're a carpenter, your sisters and your brothers, like, we know you. And he was astonished by their unbelief, but he did still did some miracles, not the originals. He did some miracles, and then he went on to teach at the temple. He didn't cuss that thing. I'm not this.
Sorry, I just want to, you're going to continue. I just want to interject, when, she mentioned that they called Jesus like your carpenter. Yeah. We know your sisters, we know what your disciples. Because a lot of people actually haven't read the Bible and they didn't know that they actually called Jesus that. They didn't know at some point they actually called Jesus a madman. his friends actually, when he was preaching, the Bible says that his friends went to capture him, and then they said, well, he's beside himself, meaning that he's mad, let's just help him. They actually called Jesus a madman, and then they kind of like caught him and hurried him out, away from every other person. I think it's just fun for people to know who haven't actually read.
It's the plan. Simply be free to interject here. I've actually enjoyed this. I never done this, but it says it's the joy of the Lord. And
And I just want to just point out, just for everyone to know, this man Danny is a mommy's boy. This guy, in regards to, I was in the park one day with him, and he was on the phone with his mom, and I said, man, because that's the first time I actually sat down, because me and my mom were not that close. And I sat down, I'm like, this is amazing. The way he was talking to his mom, and just like almost like I see their friend. I don't know, maybe you don't even realize it, one or two, because that's a big lesson. I think a lot of people, when they see that from kind, they just shun, because maybe they didn't comprehend that bad, but I just wanted to point that out. Well,
shout out to my mom. I just a little work about them. Actually, I know that as a blessing, and I appreciate God every day, and I appreciate my mom. She has been with me all the way. When you guys mentioned, parents, the watch the, and I actually didn't want to share this, but I guess, when you just brought it up, I should share it. When you talked about like the works that, your parents, when parents say works to get kids, it just teach to them how to start acting it out, maybe through anger and all of that. And Jesus said, you're clean by the words that are spoken to you. And so you can also be dirty by the words that people speak over you, especially your parents, because they have some measure of authority over you. And so a lot of people are actually dirty in their mind, dirty in their heart, dirty in their character, dirty in their approach to life, dirty in their worldview, because of the words that their parents have actually spoken to them. If you understand, I have a mom who, I remember when I was in high school, I told her I want to fast, and then I'm going to break by 9 a.m. I'm going to break my fast by 9 a.m. What can I started just when I read this. But I have a mom who encouraged me and who applauded me and said, you're doing great. You're going to break that. Yeah, she was so excited. She was excited, but I was excited. And then I'm like, yeah. And then she didn't make me feel like 9 a.m. fast. Yeah. She worked with me all through those years, up to the point I could fast an entire day without taking anything. I remember the first time I did that an entire day. She prayed with me when I was going to break. She made a nice meal for me and all. But these days I could go on for days without eating anything, without drinking water, and I'm fine. This is just, the woman who has happened with me. And I like to talk about, my mom a lot. One of the things that I respect her for, and I have to give her for, is that she actually didn't mold a boy. She actually molded a man. She molded a man. Like, I am a man. I'm a man of my decision. She literally taught me how to be a man, how to make my decisions, how to run independently, not independent of God, if you understand, but of course dependent on God, but independent of feelings or opinion. I'm not to be weighed down by that. I'm able to, and that's actually, because there are some people, there are some moms or parents, they kind of don't want you to, leave them. They want you to be 100% dependent on them. She didn't want that. She taught me to be responsible. When I started working and I was still living at home, I remember when she told me, you have to start contributing to this family. And then she said, you know what, the first thing you're going to do is start buying the fish, the toothpaste, for the family. And I started that. And gradually it got to the point where every month I'm dropping money for groceries at home. And my dad would come and pray for me because he didn't even know all of that, but my mom was the one who actually made me do that. You know, it just made me responsible. And then my dad will hear that, and then he will come and then he'd wait for me. And it will just be joyful that I have a son who actually has taken care of the grocery bill for the month and all of that, you know. So I kind of just appreciate it. So I'm just shout out to my son. Well, and maybe, this is an example. If you want to follow that, I think she just lived that, that example for me. I can tell you the truth that, yes, I love my mom so much, but I'm a man. Like, I make my decision myself. I can make decisions independent of her, and she's able to be confident because she knows I'm gonna make the right decision because she have actually taught me that. So, sorry.